Tetris is a game. No, Tetris is an experience. No, Tetris is an idea that if I were to only exclusively present 30 seconds of uncut footage and shut the hell up, it would suffice as explanation why its inclusion is critical. Tetris doesn't require a loser like me to tell you what it is or why it's great, because Tetris is universal. Tetris is, was, and always will be. One day, everyone you know will be dead, the sun will burn out, and all life as we know it will have been erased from cosmic memory. Everything ends, yet after the ultimate closure, the conclusion of all things, Tetris will remain. Tetris is life and death. It's fitting aptly maneuvering cars in traffic. It's putting your groceries in the back seat, even if it's unconscious. If you've never played, if you've never heard of the idea of interactive electronic entertainment, you've still been playing Tetris, awake and asleep, your entire life. Tetris has been made more times than there exist numbers to count with. I could say that there exist more versions of Tetris than there exist potential platforms to play a video game on, and I'd be right. Tetris was one of the first games I played, and look how well I turned out. Actually, disregard that point. If you somehow cannot find a way to play Tetris, I suggest you make your own. It's forever the go-to for an amateur game creator to test their mettle. More people have played Tetris than any other game in history, and that's because it's an idea and not a specific piece of software. It's been created, interpreted, recreated, reinterpreted, recreated, reinterpreted, that it might be overwhelming to simply pick one. These days, over the last 15 or so years, Tetris has been regulated by a central governing rights holder. They've exuded a great deal of effort, mostly succeeding in unifying the underlying rules of modern Tetris. Every commercial edition you'll get your hands on for a modern platform has slide physics, hold pieces, T-spins, piece logic, and a homogenized feel. You can choose one of those, or you could Yosemite Sam into the Wild West. It doesn't matter which road you travel, because again, Tetris is universal. As Alexei Pajitnov would say, it's any time you create order from chaos. From the instant the game begins, it's enthralling, stressful. You're worrying. This thing is coming down. What do you do? How do you stop it? You visually see how much time you have, then it clicks into place. Every click contains thousands of possibilities, has ramifications that might affect your board in unpredictable ways at unforeseen times. Tetris is immediately understood, but never mastered. For example, the risk-reward paradigm introduced when you take the scoring system into account. In addition to feeling good, clearing multiple lines at a time rewards you with more points than if you had done them individually. The natural conclusion in chasing this high is to covet the 1x4 block, the only one in which you can achieve the ultimate temporary victory, the Tetris. Tetris is when you clear 4 lines at the same time. You may need to wait a while for one of these pieces to show up. Do you want to risk waiting for the long block, or forge ahead content with your dinky, suboptimal clears? Do you deal with the details of here and now, or do you hold out for bigger things down the road? Subconsciously, you're computing life, and like life, Tetris doesn't end until you die, or break out of the top of the playfield. Playing Tetris is to stare death in the face, arms crossed, unfazed. It's to put off your inevitable demise as long as possible until you've done as much stuff you can fit into a lifetime. Of Tetris. It's psychological, mathematical, puzzling. It's the most ubiquitous game, which is why it's our logical starting point. Tetris embraces the most fundamental principles that make video games what they are. It's nothing but shapes. It's base-level electronic entertainment, and proves that all you need to make a great video game is 4 squares. Everyone can, everyone has, and everyone does play Tetris, yet there's a real hierarchy of skill. The ceiling is of glass and is shattered every day. Tetris is the best first video game because you can be a world champion, you can be a complete novice, and still have just as much fun. It's as fulfilling to a king as it is to any bum. Tetris will live, always and forever. You probably think of Wii Sports as the game that came with the Wii, but you see, that's not entirely true. Rather the opposite, vice versa. The Wii was the box that played Wii Sports. Make no mistake, Wii Sports was the Wii, and for the general populace, the Wii was Wii Sports. The terms were interchangeable. It's a game that appeals to everyone who's ever gotten their hands on it at some level. Gaming virgins, residents of the hardcore, people who wouldn't know the difference between Fortnite and Minecraft. Wii Sports is social by nature. It's made to be played over Thanksgiving dinner. For a couple of years, a staple up there with turkey, apple pie, and watching the Lions get neutered on live TV. All this for a game that, if we're being honest, was kind of junky. Wii Sports is a game that barely works. It's thrown together, bare bones, no cohesive style, and it ain't much to look at. Wii Sports was a hasty tech demo, yet it didn't matter. Wii Sports was a prototype, and it still set the world on fire. It launched alongside another game, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, a game with an infinite amount more time, love, and care put into the package. The most important game ever when it came out. The hype persisted for years. The trailer alone sent a room full of grown, should-be professional men into a frenzy. Almost 15 years later now, and spoilers, Twilight Princess doesn't sniff this list. It doesn't sniff any list. Twilight Princess's relevancy ends at the loaded door of the Zelda fandom. But Wii Sports matters. Wii Sports persists. Imagine saying to somebody on November 19th, 2006 that Zelda Twilight Princess not only wouldn't be the game of the year, it wouldn't be the game of the day. Wii Sports was the anti-Twilight Princess, loathed for years by the gatekeepers, a representation of your Nintendo's fans' angst and anxieties. I know because I was there. Gamers were worried. I was worried that Nintendo would abandon us to chase these fucking normie grandmas. If that sounds a little silly to you, that's because it was. Nintendo didn't abandon us. They couldn't. The Wii was a fad. The thing with fads is that they don't last. Wii Sports' sequel might as well have been called Angry Birds. As a dreaded gatekeeper of the past myself, allow me to apologize. I'm sorry, Wii Sports. It was wrong of me to dismiss. You're a fad, sure, but you're also one of the most important games of all time. In 2021, everybody's a gamer, even if that boils down to exclusively Scrabble on your iPad. In 2005, my grandma couldn't pin Mario out of a lineup, and by 2017, she's bragging about her Slowbro in Pokemon Go. I haven't even played Pokemon Go. Things have changed since 2006. Video games being a part of life is just more accepted now. But enough about that. Let's talk about some whats. Wii Sports is a collection of 5 approximations of a given sport. Some are more faithful than others, but they all have one thing in common. They're all easy to understand, the definition of pick up and play. Grandma sees you flick the Wiimote up and then forward to serve a tennis ball, and already knows everything she needs to know to jump in and play. Nintendo had ample opportunity to complicate things. Think about it, conventional wisdom would dictate that you control your players with either the D-pad or the nunchuck. But they opted not to do that, in the name of making things simpler, to streamline the experience, to make the gaming tent as wide as possible. First off, they picked 5 sports that pretty much everyone knows. They could have easily chosen something a little more esoteric, and the 5 sports make up for a buffet-style experience. You may not get a ton out of the bits themselves, but combined and put into cultural context, well,
baby, you got a stew going.
it shaves every sport down to as few essential elements as possible. Tennis and baseball are all about the swing. Bowling and golf are the flick and follow through. And for boxing, the strike. You'll find a lot more in any game dedicated to that particular sport. For example, number 6 on this list. Gaming culture was, and still is to a degree, coded in so much jargon. You need to be literate in this stuff to understand it, hence this video. Wii Sports is something that strips away the bullshit and gives people a way to virtually golf and bowl from home. There are no lengthy tutorials, no cutscenes that need to play out. No off-putting themes. It's monkey see, monkey do the video game. The gratification is instant. This is the kind of thing where someone might have spent 100 hours playing Wii Sports, but only in 1 or 2 games. Your favorite could be the scientifically best game, bowling, but someone else's for some inexplicable reason might be boxing. My advice would be to play all 5, find one you like, and then get really good at it. In the years since, we continue to live the life post Nintendo's gamble. Without Wii Sports' success, would Nintendo still exist as we know them? They'd be different for sure. Wii Sports is responsible for prolonging their existence. Imagine a timeline where Biff steals the sports almanac and creates a world where Twilight Princess actually was the most important game of November 19th, 2006. Honestly, I'd rather not, because this timeline is a whole lot better.
This is my PlayStation 2. This is my Xbox One. This is my Xbox 360. And this right here is my PlayStation 3. And this is what I like to call the Nintendo shit cube. And the reason I call it the Nintendo shit cube because it's a piece of fucking shit!
Super Smash Bros. Melee matters because it showcases the greatest thing about video games, which are the communities. How video games bring people together. All of this, these people, they're here to watch Super Smash Bros. Melee. And yes, it's not the only game that people watch, but it is the one that matters the most. It survives despite being a 20-year-old game. Even with Nintendo undermining it, canceling tournaments, canceling fan mods, Nintendo actively undermining the scene at every turn, it still survives, it still flourishes. Recent entries in the series have anointed it as the Hall of Fame of video game characters. Some Super Smash Bros. Character selections are praised more than Jesus, and others elicit enough anger and rage that they make Twitter threads discussing Donald Trump sound civil. Fortnite. My grandma, not the one that played Wii Sports, I have two, the other one. She knows exactly 2 things about video games. That my youngest relatives own Nintendo Switches, and that they play Fortnite at a family gathering. Which, geez, I guess had to have been in 2019 now that I think about it. As I'm known to do when I'm leaving town, I brought my Switch with me. And she asked,
"Aren't Shaw going to play Fortnite with the boys?"
And I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child. No, Grandma, I'm not going to be playing Fortnite. Now I'm in a situation where I need to explain why I'm not playing Fortnite to somebody who has never looked at a video game in her life. Fortnite is the new Nintendo. It's the new Xbox. It's present-day shorthand for video games to people who know nothing about video games. In the 80s, a parent might say, "Quit playing that Nintendo and go outside." Then it was, "Turn off the PlayStation." Then President Obama told us to turn off the Xbox.
That means putting away the Xbox.
Excuse me. No.
Now it's Fortnite. Fortnite is video games, and video games are Fortnite. As to what the game is, well, it's sort of an adaptation of the young adult novel series, The Hunger Games. Or maybe not, I could have just pulled that completely out of my ass. Normally in an online multiplayer shooter, there'd be a static timer and you'd essentially play a game of paintball. When you died, you'd respawn more or less right away into the same match. Then a game called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds happened. It was a junky piece of fucking garbage held together with masking tape. It barely worked, there were glitches everywhere, but it was still a sensation because of 2 words: Battle Royale. The concept was new and ingenious to video games. First off, it was so much bigger than your average shooter. 100 different players would spawn into the same map. From there, it was a pretty standard game with one twist. The deaths are permanent, and the winner would be the last man standing. Fortnite, which wasn't a competitive shooter yet, saw this and decided to shamelessly copy. Take a forklift, beep, beep, just lift it, boop, boop, just into its own game. And it fucking blew up. It destroyed the planet. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was a huge success, but Fortnite makes it look like a fucking footnote. Why? Well, for starters, I assume the game wasn't a glitchy mess, and the game actually worked as intended, but that's not really why it blew up. Fortnite's true innovation, and its biggest contribution to video games as we see it now in the year 2021, isn't the Battle Royale, it's not the epic dances or memes, it wasn't even the game itself, the revenue model. That's the bit of Fortnite DNA that's lodged itself into the zeitgeist. You see, conventional wisdom would dictate that you charge people money to play your game, right? Well, Fortnite is both free and available. If you wanted to play this game, all you need to do is grab a device capable of playing video games and connecting to the internet and downloading it. If you're a kid and you want to play an online shooter with your other kid friends, well, back in my time it used to be Call of Duty, but Call of Duty is rated M, so if your parents were uptight, you weren't allowed to play it. It also costs money, requires a dedicated game console and a TV. The barrier to entry is hundreds of dollars, while Fortnite just requires you to not live in Amish country. Everyone has a phone, even kids, and phones play Fortnite. But if your game is free, then how do you make money? Well, you charge money for the extra bells and whistles. Sure, you could log on to Fortnite for free, but you're not going to stand out from the crowd using the basic avatar. So you want a specific costume, right? Well, you can't just pay money one time and get the costume you want. No, no, no. It's locked behind basically a trading card booster pack system. Sure, it would be nice to have that Blue Eyes White Dragon, but you're going to have to buy 50 booster packs at $3.99 a pop to find it. It's a free game that people were having legitimate fun playing with a fresh concept that not everybody knew about. And it uses a proven to be effective, addictive strategy with its cosmetics. Every shooter in loads of AAA, AA, single A either need to be free to play and or have a battle royale mode because of Fortnite. Love it or hate it, Fortnite is a monolith. Even if the game itself ends up having no real staying power and completely dies off in the next few years, Fortnite's influence is already here. Fortnite has altered the course of video games, and it's undeniable. Alright, so believe it or not, I produced that entire segment without ever playing Fortnite, so I figured I'd play a round of Fortnite and record my live reaction. Fuck.
Yeah? Did
Oh no.
Made this name
Oh no.
Made what noob?
for my account.
Little babies are talking to me. Oh no.
Hello? Oh, yo, 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 yo.
Oh, how do I make it stop?
Is a real default. He just started.
Oi, 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 oi,
How do I
oi,
make it stop? How do I equip stuff? How do you crouch?
Are there two people?
No, it's just one.
How do I fucking...
Oh, you might die. Our teammate, it's at 3 HP or 5.
Did I get him?
It was a default.
I got.
for-
I
Fuck
leveled
was
up because of
that?
plane.
I don't know how,
Give me one of
kid.
those. Give me the.
I
Give
don't
me
know
the
how to
mini
do that.
that you have in your hand.
Hey, okay, I'm
Oh, you
sorry.
suck.
I would have given that to you, but I don't know how. I'm sorry. I'm
at
also like
18
trying to
HP.
balance
Dude, I
this
just got
fucking thing on my lap.
15,000
I'm scared. I can't. I'm getting this chest up here. And hopefully it has a medkit. Please.
Wow, I got somebody.
Mm.
Oh god, is there fall damage? Oh man.
Give me so
Okay.
much XP.
Can I get rid of the pickaxe? I don't think I'm gonna use that.
3.
What the fuck is this?
Take
It's
it.
an NPC? Oh man. This is a
Lose
scope.
time from
Are we not in the circle? Oh shit. I thought the fucking orange, or like yellow or whatever, was the circle. Crap. Alright. Oh, there's somebody.
Make sure you don't. Did you
I only
get
have
chug
2 guns.
splashes?
No.
I think I see somebody.
Dude, he literally killed him. He knocked him down.
From 201 meter.
I don't see where. Oh,
Okay,
did we?
never mind.
That's it. Yay! It was actually kind of fun. Okay, the thing about Fortnite that I did know going in is that the first one is always free. They basically just set it up so you always win your first game, and maybe like a few subsequent others. But yeah, I don't know. It was okay. I'm not ever gonna play it again. The leading largest events of the 21st century in terms of public perspective, at least in America's psyche, have been the coronavirus, Donald Trump, and the 9/11 terrorist attacks, combined with the military operations proceeding in their wake, or the War on Terror as it's collectively known. In 2007, we're still very much in that post-9/11 haze. We're involved in these foreign wars that people, or at least my preteen self, didn't understand. Traditionally, in times of war, there's an attempt to boil the stew down. These are the good guys, these are the bad guys. In media, there's always an attempt to blow off cultural anxieties by doing this exact thing. Obviously, for instance, it was a lot easier to do this with World War II than it was with Vietnam. But Hollywood was always there to dumb everything down and have guys being dudes
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
with some good old-fashioned war porn. There's a cultural void that gets left with these sort of things. Only with the War on Terror, Hollywood didn't really react this way. Movies about 9/11 and the conflicts in the Middle East tended not to be so black and white, which is for better for worse. Obviously, nuance is a great thing, but it resulted in 6 years later, and there's no singular flag-waving, patriotic action macho film where they just blew things up in Afghanistan. Insert Call of Duty, a series of video games about shooting Nazis. It was solely a second-tier franchise. It had its fans, but it wasn't a household name. That is until Modern Warfare. The world wanted, possibly even needed, to go to the Middle East and blow things up. For the first time in history, it wasn't a film, not a play, but a video game that filled the cultural zeitgeist. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 was to 2007 what The Bridge on the River Kwai was to 1957. Present day in Call of Duty is a series that gets yearly releases. It's like Madden or any other annual sports game. Show someone a screenshot of each game, and only a hardened fanboy could pick them apart. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is the Call of Duty, and not just because its place in culture, not because it was the first breakthrough hit that propelled the series, but because it's a well-made, as well as an incredibly influential video game. Modern military shooters were the dominant game genre for most of the 7th generation of consoles. Doom solidified the first-person shooter, but Modern Warfare made it the default video game genre. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, true to its name, was the first modern FPS. In 2021, we still haven't meaningfully moved past it. The left trigger is understood to be your aim, and the right trigger shoots. It's the biggest innovation on shooters since dual analog controls. Call of Duty 4 wasn't realistic, but it's much more grounded than any other game at the time. It isn't true to what being in the military would be like. It's more like what being in a Hollywood war blockbuster would be like if such a thing were made. You're not playing a war, you're playing a war movie. There are shock moments, a series of climaxes. An early mission has you watch this multi-minute cutscene just for it to end with you being shot in the face. No player input required. Which isn't to say that it's not intelligent about how you interact with it. Take for instance the Hall of Fame worthy tutorial. Aside from just showing you how to fire a gun, it's framed as an obstacle course, and the real genius is that your time. It's the only tutorial that you'd ever want to repeat. It'd be criminal if I didn't acknowledge that this game became as large as it was because of the online multiplayer. To this I'll confess mostly ignorance. I am a Call of Duty poser. I've scant attempted the multiplayer. I stuck with the game that this thing supplanted, Halo 3. Call of Duty replaced Halo as the most popular online shooter. And unlike in that game where everyone starts equally, it opted for a more asymmetrical, almost RPG-style approach. You gain experience points and use them to buy weapons and attachments. But as a trade-off, the disparity between them is nowhere near what they are in Halo. It worked well and has evolved into a model that most online shooters still use to this day. The bottom line is that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 matters because it's the game that represents what video games were like between 2007 and 2013. The series was the face of our medium, and even though I've played countless more Halo than I have COD, you'll notice that Halo isn't on this list. This entry is me being honest. Halo wasn't nearly the breakthrough that Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was.